All right, guys, welcome back to the second episode of the Challenge podcast. Thanks for coming back. Today, we've once again got the amazing co-host, Ragebacon 11.
Yo.
And today's guest is a really special one, a really unique one. I think this is going to be a great episode. We've got Sizemic Studios. Sizemic, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good today.
Glad to hear. I'm glad to hear. First off, Sizemic, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. We really do. And
Thank you for
really
having
excited
me.
to have you on. I'd like to start off with, I usually open these the same way usually. I just want to know, who are you? When someone meets you on the street and they introduce themselves and you tell them who you are, what are some of the first core things you tell them about yourself?
That's a very good question. I would say the key things I say about myself is, you know, probably like, this is a weird one, but like, I don't say like I'm a normal person. I say that I'm more considered to be a creative. I like to do things that, by societal norms that wouldn't be considered like normal for a guy to do.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's honestly a great way of putting it. I really like that. So,
So,
guys, just for some reference here, Sizemic Studios is a online creator both on Instagram and YouTube platforms, and he does a lot of Godzilla work in both figure sculpting and a lot of now digital work with things like Blender and a lot of VFX work, and also is in the project of making a big Godzilla series. Is that all accurate, Seismic? Did I get that right?
crystal clear.
Awesome. So we just want to know, like, how did this start? How did you get into VFX, figures, Godzilla, any of the above?
Oh goodness. Okay. I'll start with Godzilla first, since that's where the
That's the main
seed for
one.
the tree starts. So it all started when I was probably around like 3 to 4 years old, and this is the age where your brain starts to actually start forming hobbies and stuff like that, like interests. And I remember watching the 2004 film Godzilla Final Wars. And for reference, Godzilla Final Wars is the final film in what is called the Millennium series. This ran from 2000 to 2004. And this has its own continuity, and basically like an all action insane Godzilla film. And my stupid baby brain was like, I like this. And that's where it all started.
Okay.
After that, I started watching more Godzilla movies. I started renting them from Blockbuster,
Oh, back in the
and
day.
yeah.
Good old
No one from the
Blockbuster.
2020 remembered that one.
So,
And
and after that, you
that's
just
where it
went
all
to, it
started.
evolved into, like, figure collecting and VFX, I guess?
Yeah, and around like I would say I was like what, maybe 5 years old, I was searching on Amazon, and figure collecting in general for me started whenever I started collecting dinosaur toys. But then I saw there was actually Godzilla toys being made. Then that's where that started. Also going to Toys R Us and buying them as a kid.
Mm, mm.
So like 10 plus years later, it's still going.
Here we are. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
So you've been in the Godzilla community almost your whole life, right?
for probably like 16 years.
Wow. Wow. So a devoted fan for sure.
Yeah.
Since you're so devoted, I bet your channel, which will be linked down below, by the way, guys, please check it out. Phenomenal
Thank you.
editing. What is your favorite Godzilla monster or kaiju monster out of any universe in general?
So you would think, with being a Godzilla fan, it would be like one of the main kaiju, right?
Yeah, Godzilla,
Well,
King Ghidorah, those guys.
Godzilla, Ghidorah, Mechagodzilla.
Mothra.
No, it's actually this one really obscure kaiju that actually got its own film when the Godzilla era was like starting back in like the 1950s. He's called Varan, and he is a quadrupedal lizard kaiju who has the ability to glide.
Well, sounds like me for real.
Reptilian.
Oh, maybe.
So
Nah, dude,
he's
I'm
been-
just lost with all this. I don't even know anything about it, but it's
Yeah,
interesting.
it's a
It's
lot
interesting.
whenever it's a newcomer, but
Oh, yeah.
Varen has been in, I think, 2 projects, like realistically, but 3 technically. He had his own film in 1956, and then he was in Destroy All Monsters for 10 seconds. In like 19, it was like 1960 or something like that. And then he appeared for like a second as stock footage in Godzilla Final Wars. And there's something about Varen that I really like.
All right. All right. So you are, as you've gotten older, I'm sure you haven't just stayed to your Godzilla roots. Have you ever delved into any other monster or kaiju series, like Ultraman?
Actually, yes, I have. And fun fact, Godzilla isn't actually my favorite kaiju series.
Okay.
It's another series called Ultraman.
Okay.
Mm.
And that one has been going on well, technically actually less time than Godzilla because it started in 1966, but there's just so much content from Ultraman. It's actually insane. I think
Wait,
at
wait,
this
wait.
point there's like 70 Ultraman,
Isn't
and even
Ultraman?
there's like
Sorry, I don't
spin-off
mean to
series as
interrupt.
well.
Can I interrupt?
Please
Yeah,
go
you're
ahead,
good.
Reagan.
Okay, I was just gonna ask if isn't Ultraman the guy in like that orange suit and like the white cape? He's like bald. Or am I thinking of something else?
You're
That's
thinking of something
that's
else.
Saitama. That's One Punch Man.
Yeah, that's
That's
One
One
Punch
Punch Man.
Man.
That's what I was thinking
Yes,
of. Okay, my
yes.
bad,
Yeah,
my
no.
bad.
Ultraman is like a
I don't
robot.
know what that is.
I'll
Okay.
put an image up on him for on screen for those who don't
Yeah.
know.
Ultraman, to be pretty much like as bare bones as possible, is a series about an alien race of giants who can shoot lasers out of their hands.
Very
But
cool stuff.
the reason why I like Ultraman is because of a spin-off show that came in 2008 called Ultra Galaxy. And the show's general goal was to promote toys, but I don't mean to cuss, but holy shit did it work. Because that show
Yeah.
is actually, even though it's supposed to be a marketing scheme, this show added a lot more lore than any other Ultra show that came before it. But that's a whole different can of worms for another day.
That's
Absolutely.
fair.
Absolutely. So the follow-up question I was going to have for that is, because you are making your own series now that uses characters from not only Godzilla, but maybe some of your own and even Ultraman figures, we're not even sure. What type of content do you prefer making the most? Are you more of a commentary type of guy that you've started making now that is really good? You know, I must say that's amazing. Are you still into, you started with stop motion, I believe. What's your favorite style of content to make?
My favorite style of content is, surprisingly, I like to do photography and showing time lapses of said photography that I do.
Mm,
Because I think that is one of my favorite ways of actually creating what I have in my head and bringing it to life. And then being able to show that process on YouTube. Sure, the video is sped up, but you do get to learn how to do some photography tricks that you wouldn't hear anywhere else. It's like it's fun to do that, and it's simple content too.
yeah, and you have your own sort of time lapse series called Seismic Workshop, correct?
That is the figure customizing series. The actual Photoshop like time lapse series is called Kaiju Lapse.
Ah, okay, all right,
I'm working
awesome.
on an episode right now, actually.
Yeah, guys, check it out. What's that one about?
This one's going to be released somewhere in the middle of October, and it regards the certain phobia of the ocean, thalassophobia.
Awesome. That's really cool. That's a great subject to tackle. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the G community may be niche, especially here in America, but there is still a very dedicated community. Do you have any artists that have inspired you the most in general that really taught you where to go in your Godzilla creation journey, or what?
Yes, I actually do, and I think that again, calling back to Ultra Galaxy, I think that is probably one of the biggest inspirations for me, and generally the entire Ultraman series. But like actual artist, there is a multitude of artists on like YouTube, Twitter, Instagram that, excuse me, they do photography, and nowadays there's been a more recent uprise of people actually printing out their own figures, like just from like straight up scrap.
3D
What do you mean?
modeling sort of
Like
thing?
3D printing?
Yeah, like
Okay.
from
Oh, wow.
ZBrush to then the resin printer to then fully articulating it, and they're actually selling them too.
Oh wow,
All
that's
And
right.
those
incredible.
are
So
like my biggest inspirations.
So for those who aren't as educated in the G community like myself or Reagan, what is like the top creator that when you say Godzilla community or figures that they immediately jump to?
Hmm. There's a lot. I think whenever I think of generally the Godzilla community, I think of two people.
Okay.
Goji73, who is infamous for pretty much having almost every kaiju related figure on the planet.
Wow.
And he reviewed them constantly from like the early 2000s to then pretty much, unfortunately, whenever Kappa on YouTube became a thing and he had to remove all of his content. But also the other one, Kaijuzilla 621, who is infamous for actually making like full-fledged Godzilla films, like with the figures and stuff like that, like building his own sets, having his own characters and everything.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow. Awesome.
Those are
Thanks for
probably
telling
the
us.
two most infamous figures in the Godzilla community.
Yeah. So, in your career, which has spanned quite a long time as of now, your online career is, I wouldn't say young, but what would you say is a hurdle you've had to overcome in the career of YouTube slash Instagram small niche community?
Actually forming a system and understanding where your boundaries are and actually setting reasonable goals for the future. And just basically doing all of that and balancing it out, because you would think that that wouldn't be hard, right? But then once you actually start doing it, you look at your past work and you're like, "Oh, I was running around like a headless chicken."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably the biggest one, is actually forming a system for myself that I know I work well on and committing to it.
That's great. That's a perfect response. I definitely feel a similar way when it comes to recording videos. If you want to stay consistent, you can't just be recording whenever you want. I
Mhm.
find that I work the best, if I record and go straight to editing, usually. Because when I put off
Yep.
editing, it just kind of collects dust and I don't want to put stuff out there.
Yep. Yep. That sounds very familiar.
So that's just where I'm coming from. But next question, what have you done any collabs and do you plan on doing any in the future?
Yes, I actually have done collabs before for photography. I have done collabs with, earlier this year, I did a collab with someone called TFT Shatterhome, and we made a couple of Dragon Ball and Godzilla crossover edits, one with Piccolo and Godzilla, and the other one with Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, and Godzilla. And we're planning
Okay.
on doing a couple more later this year. And then, yes, I do plan on making collabs with figure customization.
Awesome. Awesome.
How would that work?
I think one of the people that I would do a collab with, I won't say their name just to keep that secret for now. He would sculpt the figure, then he would send it my way, and then I would paint it. Like I would
Oh,
commission him to
Oh,
like
interesting.
everything. That's one collab that I'm thinking about doing.
okay.
That's a really interesting. That's very unique because Reagan and I recently did an interview with an artist by the name of Mason Kai. He's a music producer, and in the music industries, collaborations are one of the I'd say one of the most important aspects. They're huge in boosting both of your careers. And he talked to us about what it looks like to try and aspire to a collaboration, and it's quite difficult. Would you say? I mean, you've already got a collaboration. Would you say it's difficult to get those collaborations, or it just depends on the size of the creator you're working with? What does that look like?
I would say it really just depends. The difficulty can vary on a multitude of things. And I think the hardest one, in my opinion, is actually reaching out to said person that you want to collab with, because that can get a little intimidating at times. Like actually, asking someone that you look up to, like, "Hey, do you want to work on a project together?" That's a very like daunting request to do.
I believe that.
But sometimes it could be also difficult with like time restraints and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when Ray and I'm sure you remember when we talked to Mason, that one of the big things he said was, and I feel the same way about photography and my photography work I've done, is when you're doing a collaboration with someone, you really need to see eye to eye with their artistic vision. You guys really need to understand each other to make a successful collaboration. Would you say it's the same in Godzilla work, or it's a
I
little
would say
different?
I would say it's mostly similar. I think the biggest thing is you have to have constant, solid, and equal ground with the other person.
Okay.
You both understand what you want to do with the end goal.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. That makes a whole lot of sense.
And speaking of Mason Kai, check out that last podcast. It's on
Please
on
do.
Goat's
Yes,
channel.
Really
do
good.
it. It is a
Absolutely.
very good podcast. I loved watching it.
Okay. We're gonna take a little halftime break. As if you've seen the last podcast, we like to take a little intermission midway through to have a bit of a more laid back question, not pertaining to our topic of you. What is your favorite flavor of ice cream? Seismic Studios. Your people need to know.
Ooh, Favorite
important.
flavor of ice cream? I'm gonna be honest. The birthday cake flavor from Brahms,
Okay,
I really
okay.
love that.
I respect
No way. No way, bro. Ugh. That's
Oh,
nasty.
come on.
Dude, I had that like a long time ago, dude. I will never forgive myself for trying that flavor. It was horrid.
I kind of like it. People say
Dude,
it's like a kid flavor. I kind of
it
dig it.
was. I think it was just too much.
It
Personally,
satisfies my sweet tooth, man.
I
So
could
then,
not
what is
take
your favorite flavor?
mine. Okay,
Yes.
it's the Bluebell Cookie Two Step. I think that's what it's
Mm.
called.
Yeah.
It's
Fair enough.
it's got cookie dough and the cookies and cream like mix.
Okay.
That's pretty. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Fair enough.
Personally,
But if I had to if I had to do like a really basic flavor though, probably just like strawberry ice cream. Because I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
strawberry
Yeah.
solid. Strawberry solid. But myself, I'm gonna have to say, some people think it's weird, and it'll change. But really, I always go back to mint chocolate chip, man. Mint chocolate chip
Hey,
is so good.
It's a solid
Yeah.
flavor.
Leave
It is
you
a
feeling
solid flavor.
fresh, but
Yeah.
delicious.
That's right. No,
Absolute banger.
I can respect
You-
that for sure.
You fucks with some mint chocolate chip, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, hell
mint
yeah.
chocolate chip is good.
Okay, Seismic. You have to have some sort of downtime, I'm sure. The grind, as much as people may want to say it's 24/7, it's not 24/7. Keep it a buck
Yes.
videos. What other hobbies do you have? How do you step away from the creation side?
Whenever I'm away from the workshop, the studio, and my computer screen, I actually like to go outside and kayak whenever the weather is nice.
Really?
Because,
I didn't know
yes,
that.
I didn't know that either.
because over here it gets extremely hot, so doing it in the summer isn't necessarily the best time.
Yeah.
But in the winter, as long as you don't fall into the freezing cold water, it's amazing. So yes, I like kayaking and just a lot of outdoor activity. I like to get some sunlight into my vampire skin.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Fair enough.
that's
fair
awesome.
enough.
So, and I also like bowling.
You are a
Always
good
fun.
bowler. Guys, I've seen Seismic bowl. He can bowl.
So
He
those are
knows how to
probably
handle
my
some balls.
Seismic handles some bowls real well.
those are my three favorite hobbies to do: kayaking, hiking, and handling some big round balls.
Heavy.
there you go.
Heavy.
Extremely heavy, like
Get
15-pound
to it.
balls.
Do you own your own ball, or do you have your own shoes?
You know what's funny is I'm pretty sure
You
back
have
in
balls.
2020, yes, I do have balls. Do not worry. But I'm pretty sure back in 2020, my sister actually gave me like this. I think it was like a ticket to actually get your own custom-made bowling ball. I need to ask her about that and see if she still has that, because obviously,
You haven't done it?
we couldn't. Well, because of the pandemic and shit.
Oh, yeah, good point.
So I'll have to ask her about that. See if she still has that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
your own
that'd be
shoes?
awesome.
Yes, I actually do.
Dang,
I own 2
what a
pairs of my own
pro.
custom shoes.
What a pro. I like bowling, but I don't do it consistent enough to be good. Like, I
Right.
learned how to do it, and I can.
Yeah.
Just pull up the wiki how, pop out some strikes, but I'm no master by any means.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do it for like this special event. Honestly, like I'll just go out to do it with a bunch of friends if we all decide to. But I haven't done it in a while.
Yeah,
Probably a
I
few
haven't.
months.
I haven't done it since like May. I need to get back on it.
It's fun. All right,
Oh, yeah.
Seismic. Everyone has to start somewhere. Do you have any tips for incoming creators in either the Godzilla community, any sort of creation community, figures, VFX? What tips do you have for
Mhm.
them?
Okay. So, someone who has been customizing for probably since 2017. So, I would say the biggest things are, be okay with making mistakes on things and be okay with not understanding how some things work sometimes. You will learn it
Mhm.
eventually, and it's not your fault that you don't understand it, because sometimes finding knowledge for these types of subjects is very rare.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
also, I would say, like, have patience, and be confident in your work. I think that's probably one of my biggest advice is have confidence in your work.
Yeah, man, that is a great recommendation. I know here it's a similar side when it comes to sort of gaming creation, is that you need to have some humility, just be humble, allow yourself to learn. Don't try and think
Yeah.
you can do it all at once, because you can't. It's going to take
Even
a lot of
and I think
tutorials, a lot of hours. It's not easy.
Yeah, and I think another thing is like have the ability to actually be able to point out mistakes even in your most recent works.
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, take a bit of
If
that
you can do
construction.
that, then you are on a good path to becoming a professional.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely, that's a great tip. Phenomenal. All right. Following up on that, how would you describe Godzilla work, photo editing? Why do you enjoy doing it? What makes it so fun to you?
I think just I think what makes it so enjoyable for me and the reason I keep doing it is just I love to see what other people make and how they contribute to the community. And this doesn't just apply to just the Godzilla community. It applies to the Marvel, the Dragon Ball, seeing what people can make. I don't know why it gives me inspiration to do what I like to do
For
and
me,
just see
it
how people evolve.
Yeah, I'm sure like you've grown up liking it too, so
Yeah.
absolutely.
that's another huge part of it. So that's cool.
And for me, seeing people make things, if you guys have ever seen the Netflix show Blown Away, it's a glass blowing competition. I would highly recommend it. It's mind blowing. And even with drawing, manga, any sort of creation aspect of of the internet, people will consistently blow you away with what you can do. You will think to yourself, man, there's no way anyone does that. And tomorrow somebody does that.
Yeah,
Really,
that
when it
is
comes to
that is
creation,
very
human
true.
human mind knows no bounds.
Yeah, sky's the limit.
Absolutely. So yeah, perfect. All right, we're gonna get deep here. We always ask this question to our guests whenever we have them on. What is the most important or most valuable lesson you've learned in life? That's a difficult one. Reagan and I will change them up every now and then to kind of give you guys some variety on what we think are important lessons. But Seismic, what is the number one thing you've learned in your life so far?
Hmm. I would say the biggest things are let life be as simple as it'll allow it to be. I would also say allow pain to be one of your best teachers, with obviously some exception. I'm not saying become Sasuke's level of pain.
Yeah,
I would also I'm trying to think. Also, find your own flow in life. Understand who you are and what you want to do. There's always that saying of work a job that you would want to.
absolutely.
I think my biggest advice is just understand who you are and what you want to do.
No, those are absolutely valuable lessons, guys. Write that down. Reagan, do you have anything new? Because I recently today actually heard something that I really took to heart. But is there anything you have?
Well, I would just say, for me personally, finding what I want to do, I mean, I'm gonna have to go through some trial and error. And like Seismic said, you got to pain is a teacher.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. Yeah.
pain could be a variety of thing of maybe not knowing, uh, but the mystery. You got to go out there, find something
Oh
that
yeah.
you enjoy, work at it, and yeah. No,
Absolutely.
I
That's
don't really
that's
have
the
anything
only
else to
way
add
to move forward, right?
for
Yep.
sure.
Personally, what I heard today, man, is to really show people love. I mean, and this is with anything, with your religion, with whatever you believe. If you want to show people that, people say, "Oh, you need to go out, you need to market to people, you need to talk to people about this, this, and that, these
Hmm.
specific things, your business, your brand, your religion, whatever it is. I don't care. If you really want to like impress someone or show someone that you're different, man, just talk to people, show them some love, give them a smile, talk to them when no one else will, and you do not know what astronomical effect that will have on the person you're talking to.
For sure, give them the support you wish you want, or like that you want. It's kind of like the golden rule, treat
Absolutely.
others like you would want yourself to be treated.
Yep. That's another great advice.
For sure, yeah.
Of
I've all,
course.
I've lived by that for as long as I can remember.
I've
Um,
recently heard on Yik Yak that if you guys don't know what that is, it was a guy who said he was tired of being the only generous one, and I just told him, hey man, the only time I feel like I'm being dragged down by being the only generous person in the group is when I stop feeling grateful for being able to be the generous person. What I mean by that is when you are able to give or help someone, take pride in that. Don't reverse it. Be like, oh, they're not being kind to me. Just
right,
take pride that you have the ability and you are the person people can rely on to be generous and be that person you wish you had.
for sure.
That's good. That's a
Absolutely.
good line. I
That's a
like
great
that.
answer. Yeah, that's a great answer to that guy's comment.
No, absolutely. It's about that perspective, you know.
Who knew
Yeah.
Yik Yak could be that deep?
Yik yak of all things.
All right. To recenter back on Godzilla, I'm gonna ask Seismic a deep question. How competitive or difficult is the Godzilla community? Would you say it is to grow? Because some people say with smaller communities it's a lot easier because there's less competition, but at the same time, some people say it's harder because there are some hard set people who run that niche community. How difficult would you say it is to grow in that community?
To grow the community in general,
To
or
grow
like to grow?
yourself
Yeah.
in that
Okay.
community.
This one I would say, hmm, it's definitely interesting. I would say on the difficulty scale of like easy to, X Games mode. I would say it's like a medium. That
Okay.
and before like, 2019, it was probably like, very easy to get pretty popular in the Godzilla community. But now since the general fandom has like skyrocketed in numbers,
Absolutely. With
um
those blockbuster movies, people have flocked to it.
yeah, like I mean, before G Fest 2019, it was like, maybe like 1,000 people, like maybe 1,000 or like 1,500. But after Godzilla King of the Monsters came out in 2019, it went up to 3,000.
That's big numbers, tripling in a year. That's
And then,
crazy.
not to mention Godzilla versus Kong in 2021, I'm pretty sure there was like 5,000 people at this year's G Fest.
Wow.
It was
Which,
massive. So nowadays, I would say the difficulty scale on the spectrum is medium. And I think the biggest advice that I could give for, you know, getting popular in the Godzilla fandom is do something that everyone else is scared to do. Even if you just hit your face on the floor at it, at least you did it and people are going to start being like, "Oh, wow, he's actually doing something we're all afraid to do." It's like nematodes in a cave watching a shark. It's like people will actually you'll get people's attention.
I'd agree with that completely. Yeah, absolutely. And just for those who don't know, for a bit of context, G Fest is the yearly convention in Detroit that is held in America
Chicago.
for Chicago, for the Godzilla community, correct?
Yes.
And there, man, they have everything. They've got movie showings, they've got floor rooms for figures, for cosplay, competitions for your art. It's really an amazing experience. And you've been to quite a few, right, Seismic?
Yes, and I've even made a video about it too, explaining my general experience at GFest 2022.
Please check that out, and they will continue to come, I'm sure.
So definitely going to go for 2023, and I'm actually going to try and contribute to that. You remember how I was saying you got to do something that everyone is afraid to do? Well, example, I'm going to be trying to make a figure, like a fully printed out and articulated figure of a very niche bird kaiju called the Giant Claw, and
Awesome.
I'm going to display it in the artist room.
Well, I'm
Very
I'm sure
cool.
we're all going to be super looking forward to that, to seeing how it turns out. I would like to then follow up by asking, what are your future goals? Maybe not just with Godzilla, focusing mainly on Godzilla in your online career, but what are your future goals, would you say?
Future goals that don't involve any kaiju in it. Hmm, that's an interesting question.
Or even like just in your YouTube career, do you have a subscriber count goal? Do you have a goal on your series that you'd like to do or come out
Yeah.
with?
For those related to this question, I would say the biggest things are actually being able to print out my fully articulated figures and even maybe even selling them.
Okay.
Doing collabs that I've been wanting to do for a while, you know, trying to think. Just a couple of like I think also maybe starting some series that I have planned in the future, like semi far into the future, maybe like, in the next 10 years or something like that.
Okay.
And like a subscriber count? I haven't I've never really thought about a subscriber count before, since I do YouTube because I want to show Godzilla fans and, well, kaiju fans in general something they haven't seen before.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I guess like a subscriber count, maybe like I think 10K would be a cool goal to get to one day.
That'd be great. Though.
I
For
think
anyone,
anyone
really.
who enters the YouTube scene aiming directly for a subscriber count, not for what you want to do or for your own creative output, you're going to create lower tier content. It's not going to be what you love. You're going to follow the trends,
Mhm.
and it's just going to be very whitewashed, very
We'll
basic.
just be another number in the machine.
You're just going to
Yeah.
be another Morgs. He just made content that people that got him views, and now he's tanked when he actually decided he wants to do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Do what you like and stay on that track because people are going to you're going to stand out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because
What
I
is
like
it is
doing
way
YouTube
more
for
long
myself.
lasting.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I do YouTube just because like I personally really like creating videos and putting them out there.
Yeah.
And talking to guys like you. This is why I do this, right? It's the people.
Mhm.
So another little bonus lesson for you guys.
Yeah.
All right, Seismic. I'm sure, we got to eat. You got to have a roof over your head. How do you support yourself professionally or plan on supporting yourself? Are there any other outside professions you do, or what does that look like?
So, how do I put a roof over my head? I would say the biggest thing is I run a house inspecting business with my father.
Yes, yes. So, and
Um,
that's like something you have to get certified for, right?
yes, and I'm currently actually doing like you have to do like I guess you could say like an inspection school before you actually, go out there into the real world and do that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So that's how I get my income in this planet. And other professions besides Godzilla, I used to play the piano a lot, and I think one day I would like to get back into that and maybe be somewhat of a professional at it, pretty much have the ability to play any song at any difficulty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As a piano player myself, I gotta say it's a phenomenal instrument. I would recommend it to anyone.
Yeah,
It's beautiful and really is something special.
yeah, you can really compose some very beautiful tracks for it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're about to wrap up soon. Reagan, do you have any questions for Seismic at all? Anything you'd like to add on?
Bro, you've been nailing it on the questions. I pretty just been riding along. I don't think I have anything else.
Well, thank you, Reagan. Glad for your support. By the way, props to Reagan, guys. He makes the best thumbnails. I don't know where I would be without Reagan and his awesome thumbnails. I'm sure from now on in the
Hey,
future you will see some hilarious
I've
thumbnails.
just made one for honor, but there should be more to come. And they're
Check
pretty
out the
fun to make.
previous video I came out with, a Warmonger Brawls video with Reagan actually. Really
Yep.
funny, and the
I
thumbnail
get a
was
little
hilarious.
angry at one point.
All right, Seismic.
As for honor makes you.
Oh yeah, Piranha
Get
definitely
it?
puts you in a different mindset, a bit of
Indeed.
a Saiyan mindset, if you will. Seismic, do you have anything you'd like to say to the viewers? Anything you'd like to add on before we wrap up?
Actually, yes, I would. I think the biggest thing is I have two things to say. Show your progress, never your plans. And always remember, the top of one mountain is the bottom of another, so make sure to always keep climbing. And to drink plenty of water.
Oh,
Yes.
drink plenty
Yes.
of water.
That reminds me, I should go hydrate myself.
Drink plenty of water, guys. Don't be like Reagan. Stay moist, alright? Seismic, thank you very much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yes,
I'm sure
this has been
you'll be in
good.
future videos, and man, I'd love to help you or see some of your work on your end of the channel and maybe get on one of your videos. It'd be a lot of fun. So,
Yes, of course. Thank you for reaching out to me and having me on this. This was very fun.
absolutely.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Seismic socials, for YouTube, Instagram will be in the description below. Please check him out. It's been so much fun, and he makes some really good stuff. So,
Yep.
yeah. Anything else, guys?
I don't think so. I will
Thanks for
see you
being
all on the flip
challenged with
side.
us.
Thanks for staying challenged. Stay challenged, guys.
Yes.
If you ain't challenged, you ain't living.
If you ain't challenged, where you at?
If you ain't challenged, you wrong for that one.
All right.
Ain't challenged, you're in Georgia.
If anyone's watching this from Georgia, I'm sorry you heard it here first.
Don't come after me, please.
No, actually, go after him. It'd be more funny.
Dox his
All
channel,
right, yeah.
please.
All right, sweet.
Alright, guys, thank you very
Alright.
much for watching. It's been fun. Say bye, guys.
Peace.
We'll see you all on the flip side.
Peace.